A very warm welcome along to the first of our 2 days coverage from Donington Park of the 2020 GT Cup Championship. This is the third event of the season, a championship that across all 6 classes is incredibly close as we reach the halfway stage of this somewhat truncated campaign. The weather here today, as you can see, is absolutely fantastic, ideal for the very best in sports car racing, and a stark contrast to what we saw last time out at Silverstone. To give you a flavour of what happened there, here's a look at the highlights from our previous round.
Round 5 of the championship about to get underway here at Silverstone, and as the lights go out, the pack charge their way up towards Copse Corner. It's Graham Tilley that just turns in with his nose ahead in the lead of the race. John Seal in the Lamborghini settling into second position, but everybody is safely through the first corner as we ride on board with John Dillon trying to hunt down Lucky Kira's Ferrari that lies directly ahead. Nissan from Lamborghini, Ferrari from Ferrari, but the order has been reversed between the pair of them. Looks as though Steve Burke's Aston Martin's coming under a little bit of pressure there from the Ginetta that's sitting right behind him. That's the Stephen Walton Make It Happen Racing Ginetta G55 that's looking to apply the pressure as they sweep their way over the Grand Prix start line, past the wing and in towards the braking area for Village Corner. Graham Tilley under pressure from John Seal, who is not letting him get away as yet. It's great to see Graham back in the championship as well at the wheel of this Nissan that he acquired at the beginning of the 2019 season. Callum Jenkins trying to fend away the aspirations of Josh Jackson. Both of those cars running in Group GTA at this stage. As for the Ferraris, it's still just John Dillon from Lucky Kira. Lucky Kira is as close as he's been yet, so is he going to be able to retake third place? Might he be able to reassert himself back into the overall podium spots? And at the moment, Callum Jenkins is doing just enough to keep the aspirations of Josh Jackson at bay. The pair of them in towards the heavy braking area for Village Corner. Remember, their teammates, the one thing they won't want to do is have problems with each other. But now the door is open and taking no second opportunity. Josh Jackson straight up the inside of Callum Jenkins, takes the place away, but more importantly, that now puts him into the lead of Group GTA. As for the lead of Group GTC, well, it's still just John Dillon from Lucky Kira. The two Ferraris have been pretty inseparable at this stage. Lucky Kira is driving as hard as he possibly can as they head over the start-finish line, complete another lap and up towards the very fast right-hander at Copse. John Dillon from then the red Ferrari in the hands of Lucky Kira, both of them using all of the curbs but no more. And in Group GTA, it looked as though Josh Jackson had taken the lead of the group, but all of a sudden Callum Jenkins at the wheel of the number 34 Ginetta is back ahead of his teammate. Great stuff as they fight for the lead of the group, and Josh Jackson isn't done with it there. He's now looking to draw himself alongside on the rub towards Copse. I think he's back through, is he? Callum Jenkins braves it out around the outside there, side by side through turn number 1, and Callum Jenkins by the skin of his teeth still hangs on to the lead of Group GTA. Great racing as ever in the GT Cup. And problems, I'm afraid, for the car that was leading the race, Graham Tilley. All of a sudden the Nissan Nismo slows out on circuit, so that now puts the two Ferraris up into second and third position, still with John Dillon just managing to keep the aspirations of Lucky Kira at bay. Down the Wellington straight, the speeds build onto the brakes then, and he'll turn his way in towards the left-hander at Brooklands. Lucky Kira has the inside line on him and goes through to take up second position. So Lucky Kira, having grabbed the place, now is going to want to try and pull away as hard as he possibly can. So all of a sudden, John Seal for the lead of the race has been caught by Lucky Kira. So Lamborghini still leading, but the gap is now down to just a couple of car lengths when they get towards Copse Corner. And, well, is there a problem with the Lamborghini, or maybe is John Seal just struggling a little bit with the handling of the car in the latter stages of this one, through what is Maggots and Beckett's, up towards the second part of Beckett's, and again, yeah, the Lamborghini, I think maybe might be struggling on the tyres that it's got left now, and he is going to be so much slower heading out of Chapel that Lucky Kira is going to be able to pick him off at the wheel of the Ferrari. The Lamborghini fights back in a straight line, but it's too late, I'm afraid. Lucky Kira goes through to take up the lead of the race. John Seal is down into second place. The aero on the Lamborghini slightly better than the Ferrari, so he almost closes up again by the time they head round through Stowe Corner. But finally, Lucky Kira is through and is now taken the lead of the race and has managed to put a car between himself and the car that's second in Group GTC, the one he's had all the battles with, that being John Dillon's Ferrari, who is going to be desperate to also unpick that Lamborghini from second place and promote himself up through the order. Red lights on, red lights out, and we're away and racing for the second time this weekend at Silverstone. Plume of spray, all you can see is the front few cars, but it's going to be up towards Copse Corner. Lucky Kira that takes up the lead of the race, and I think John Dillon had just made it through into second and is now attacking for the lead as they head down towards Maggots. John Dillon alongside Lucky Kira. Is he going to go through? Yes, he does. John Dillon picks up the lead of the race. Lucky Kira is down into second place, and the pole sitter, which is John Seal, is already down into third position at this stage. Jesper Lund at the wheel of the Top Cats Racing Marcus Mantis sits there in fourth place, but is under attack from a pair of Team Harginettas that are either side of him by the look of things as they feed their way out of Chapel and on towards the Hanger Straight for the first time. In towards the braking area for Brooklands, John Dillon, who has gone so well so far this season, had a great weekend of racing at Snetterton, partnered up with Aaron Scott. Lucky Kira at the wheel of his Ferrari this weekend. He came out at the wheel of his Porsche at Snetterton. You can see all the rest of the drivers all treading very gingerly in the early stages of this one. There goes the Team Hard Porsche under pressure from James Guess, and behind them is car number 222, which is the Bolf Motorsport McLaren that Jan Klingenberg will share with Warren Hughes over the course of this race. Lucky Kira looking for the lead of the race as John Dillon takes that wide line again through Abbey, trying to seek out the less polished tarmac, and it's just about working for him. But Lucky Kira here is within touching distance to maybe have a quick go for the lead of the race. Nothing doing as they head round through Village Corner. Is he going to have a go at the loop? No, he sits behind and then I think is just about going to try and squeeze his way through side by side as they head up towards Aintree, which is where they're going now. And Lucky Kira through Aintree Corner puts himself into the lead of the race as we ride on board with a car that's now down to second. The 5th and 6th place cars appear out of the gloom with the rain continuing to fall and the puddles starting to form on the circuit, but also the spray just hanging around in the air as well. It's just not dispersing at all, which makes it seem even gloomier than it actually is. And here off the back of the grid is the number 80 Ginetta trying to get past Andy Roby's BMW. This is Craig Wilkins, arguably one of the front runners in Group GTH, but had to start off the back of the grid, I'm afraid to say, and is now working his way from 22nd position on the grid where he started and is starting to carve his way through the order. The man from the West Midlands, there he goes, splashes his way through Copse Corner, feeds the power in. They'll be short shifting as well in these conditions, and then disappears into the gloom as over the Grand Prix start-finish line comes Lucky Kira with now daylight between himself and John Dillon. Since having taken up the lead of the race, he's opened up the advantage, but come the pit stops, this could all play into the hands of John Seal in the Lamborghini when he hands over to Marcus Clutton, because the leading pair of Ferraris have success seconds to deal with. 15 for Lucky Kira, the red Ferrari that leads. 20 seconds for the number 61 car of John Dillon, whereas for the Lamborghini of John Seal, no additional time penalty to spend in the pits for him, so he can hand over to Marcus Clutton in the shortest possible time and get that car back out, possibly into the lead of the race.
Hope you enjoyed our look at the last round of the GT Cup Championship at Silverstone. As you can see, conditions much better today, so it is very much and literally a warm welcome to Donington Park for our third event of the championship season. And what an entry. You know, the build up to this weekend has been absolutely superb. We've got a few spectators in, which is great. They're all socially distancing and behaving themselves and enjoying themselves, which is superb, and it's great to welcome them back. But as I said, the build-up this weekend has been superb in terms of the regular quality, high-quality GT Cup entry. We've had a number of invitation cars coming into the mix as well. And it's been getting better and better over the course of the week with cars coming in. We've had a couple of little frustrations over the last couple of days with drivers dropping away due to technical problems. And I guess the most notable of those is Graham Tilley. We were hoping to see the tech-served Nissan Nismo GTR GT3 car on circuit once again. Graham due to be partnered by Will Tregurtha once again this weekend, but unfortunately the gearbox problems that they had at Silverstone have continued. They got a replacement unit and went for a shakedown at the Ginetta facility at Blyton in Lincolnshire, and the replacement unit had a problem as well. So sadly, I think Graham is here and going to be watching. I haven't had a chance to have a chat with him in the paddock so far yet this weekend, but I do hope to before the end of the weekend. But there was good news for Will Tregurtha, Graham's co-driver and pro driver, who was therefore out of a drive, but he's going to be in the 911 numbered 24/7 Motorsport Porsche 997 of David Franklin. And quite a story there, because David, the reigning champion in GTB for GT Cup Championship, has never had a pro driver race with him before. He's always raced on his own. Multi-class championship with the various groups having several entrants. The points scored are based on the number of starters in each group. So you get more points if you beat more competitors, which is absolutely right and fair. It's a very good structure put together by Butte Motorsport and gives us some super racing and also an enthralling championship as we move through the course of the campaign. So looking at the grid, it is a fine grid, as we've said. We've got the Team ABBA Racing Mercedes-AMG GT3 running in the GT3 category, which will be shared later on by father and son pairing Richard and Sam Neary. Richard Neary running the car for this sprint race. They're going to swap duties tomorrow, so Sam will do the sprint race tomorrow. You can see there Seamus Jenkins in his Porsche 911 GT3R there as well. But coming into line in the front of the grid is the Aston Martin, the white Aston Martin, the ultimate speed prepared car of Matt Manderson, who'll be sharing with Mike Brown over the course of the weekend. Both of those two runners are invitation runners, very welcome they are too, and stunning machinery. On row 2, it's the first of our regular drivers, and that is John Seal in the Lamborghini Huracan. You might remember John racing with us in GT Cup Championship over quite a few seasons. Lovely guy. Great to have a catch up with him very quickly this morning. And I'll talk more about that as we go through the course of the racing that we get. Jim Geddy in the 77 car is there as well. Jim sharing with his son over the course of the weekend, but taking on driving duties for our first stint today is Jim in the Ferrari Scott Sport prepared Ferrari 488 Challenge, which is the type of car that John Seal used to race up to a couple of seasons ago. Got the BMW in the mix there as well, just nearest camera, and that is the Saxon Motorsport entry of Tom Barrow. Good to see those guys back with us as well. Down behind them the 67 car, which is the class leader in GTA, and that's the Ginetta G55 of Josh Jackson and Simon Orange. Simon doing starting duties today. As you can see, no messing around, getting the grid cleared and very nearly ready for our first race for this weekend, all to be live streamed for you. So please stay with us and make sure that you join us for the full driver race, the two-driver race a little bit later on. Some drivers, of course, running solo, and again, we'll fill you in on those as we go through. But the green flag shown and the green flag lap of this 2.4873 mile Donington Park Grand Prix circuit, of course, looked after by MSV. This is an MSV Championship Motorsport Vision run by Dr. Jonathan Palmer and his fantastic team. Whatever the conditions socially, you're always guaranteed a great service here and a very warm welcome as we look at another invitation car. That's the Toyota GT4 being pedalled here by Ron Johnson, and he's got Tingram no less. Tom Ingram, the British Touring Car Championship front runner in the car this weekend, and Tingram's kept fairly quiet about that on social media over the course of the week. But good to see him here today, and again had a good long chat with Christian Dick, the Speedworks team, who are running that car, the Speedworks team owner. And fine piece of kit, Ron Johnson from the British GT Championship in years gone by, looking to produce a decent result as well. We can also see just at the back of that shot briefly the number 11 car, Dave Scaramanga, another invitation runner. Dave running in another Ginetta G55. So we do have quite a few Ginettas racing here, but a superb mix of marques represented again, attracted to this wonderful GT Cup Championship competition. And we're going to see some fine racing. The grid is a little bit topsy-turvy, I've got to say, with a few people perhaps racing out of position. We had a quick look at the black Ginetta of Alex Stevenson running in GTA. GTA, the hesitate to use the phrase lower specification, but it's probably the least complicated group, should we call it that, running Challenger one make series cars, hence the Ginetta Super Cup car running in that class. Callum Jenkins there in the 34 Ginetta going through shot as well. Callum running second in a very close competition at the moment in Class A. His Team Hard teammate Josh Jackson, Simon Orange, the championship leader in that group, but it is Richard Neary bringing them around, ready for the rolling start in the black and green Mercedes. The Aston Martin of Matt Manderson alongside, and all the power is unleashed. We've got a car on the grass, manages to recover, and it's the Aston Martin that looks around the outside line, but Richard Neary makes the super start. John Seal, I think, is down in fourth place. It was Seamus Jennings going up into third position as they went around Redgate for the first time, but it's a really good clean start. Now, both the Nearys have had a go at racing the car, or at least pedalling the car this morning, and it was Sam Neary that qualified. 2.1 seconds the gap Sam Neary had over the rest of the field, and Sam this morning telling me that his dad was maybe around about a second slower, but thought still had it in him to take the race victory, and that's what he's going to be looking to do today. As I said, they are going to swap over for tomorrow's races, so it'll be Sam doing the sprint race and probably the first stint in the two driver event tomorrow. So very, very good clean start by everybody, and that's what they need to do. It is absolutely key. Chatting to Alex Toth-Jones this morning, said that it really is about bringing the car home as much as anything, particularly in race 1 of 4 over the course of the weekend. So the drivers have to really just make sure that they have a decent start to the weekend. As we watch John Seal, who is there in fourth place at the moment, and John having a look here at Seamus Jennings, goes through, so a little mistake from Jennings down at the Melbourne hairpin, and John puts the Lamborghini Huracan through very neatly indeed. He was telling me this car, I asked him about the comparison of the car to the Ferrari 488 Challenge that he raced a couple of seasons ago, and he said this car is superb. He said the big difference is actually the piece of racetrack that they're coming up to now, which is down the Crater Curves. He said this car, it just sits beautifully as it comes down through the Crater Curves. Holds on. There's John Dillon running well there at the moment in the 61. Will be sharing with Phil Quaife this weekend as his pro driver, the Scott Sport Ferrari, and Jim Geddy right in behind as well in the 77 car. But it's the GT3 cars leading the show at the moment with the top 4 positions: Neary, Manderson, John Seal and Seamus Jennings all in the mix. It's the second GTC car at the moment, John Dillon leading GTC with Jim Geddy, beg your pardon, get onto the sun a little bit later on, busy chasing him. And then the 13 car, which is the Team Webb Lamborghini Huracan, driven by James Webb, former class champion, along with Tom Webb last year in GTC. So in these early stages, some good dicing going on already. And this is the battle for the lead of GTC. Tom Barrow leading GTB at the moment from the number 3, which I think is Jensen Lund racing in this one as they come down the straight with 21 minutes on the clock. So let's start to have a look at fastest
these laps, unsurprisingly, it is the Mercedes of Richard Neary out front who sets the fastest flying lap, and he's continuing that as well because he's had a good sector one as well on this second flying lap, and determined to try and get away. The gap 1.526 seconds after lap one for Richard Neary, as we watch James Webb closing in on Jim Geddy. Jim, of course, himself GT Cup champion with United Autosports back in 2014, and great to see him back with us in the championship, and being given a fair old workout already. Runs a little bit wide and kicks up some dirt into the face of the number 13 Hurricane. So GTH honours. It's the battle going on for those two. Neary still out front. Is he going to improve on lap 3? We'll have to wait and see as we look at Russ Lindsay and Patrick Collins, the 17 car. It's Patrick Collins that started in the Team Hard entry, and they're followed by the Callum Jenkins car. Callum pairing up with the teenager Harry Yardley Rose, and they're followed by James Guess in the Feathers Motorsport Ginetta G55, running in GTH, and he's running second in class at the moment in GTH, with the Ruston Whitehouse car leading that class. A good few positions above, but some good inter-class racing, and sadly problems there for Simon Orange. Let me just check up on who it was. It was Simon Orange starting the car. Very sadly, the ex-Mazda MX-5 racer, if I remember correctly, a group of 4 of them racing in Ginettas with us here in GT Cup Championship now, having moved up from BRSCC Mazda Racing. The 72 is Chris Murphy, the Aston Martin, and Chris running in 9th position overall. GTH very, very tight in terms of the championship. It's the category or group where we've got the most drivers very tight together in the overall standings. We've got a GTB car leading these standings, that of Ben Claydon and Sam Randon. Apologies to them for not name checking them thus far, but a 5-point lead over Josh Jackson and Simon Orange. So the leading GTA car, as we've seen, out of the race. Now the 38 Aston there, the MSL car, is making great progress through from the back of the grid, and he's up into 17th place already from 24th on the grid, and about to have a look at the Toyota. It's Ron Johnson racing the Toyota at the moment. Tom Ingram will be racing in the second half of our endurance race a little bit later on. So see what Matt Topham can do. Needs to pick his moment, and we'll have a look as they come very slightly uphill now. Well, that's good news. Not good news that the car's been off. Simon Orange has, I suspect, maybe with help by the marshals, got the car back out and back into the race. Championship-wise, I think have got enough of a points lead to hold on to the championship lead at the moment, as we watch Callum Jenkins still there ahead of Patrick Collins at the moment. Very close indeed between those two. GTA battle for the lead, those two. Then we've got the James Guest GTH car, Ginetta GT4 spec machine just behind them, and then it is the 72 of the Aston Martin, of course, of Chris Murphy, who is busy challenging as well. Matt Topham having a look. Ron Johnson went a little bit wide on the exit of the old hairpin there. Meanwhile, we've got a change. John Dillon is passed by Jim Geddy, so John Dillon loses the lead of GTC to Jim Geddy. Great move by him coming in as well. The third, but all 3 cars, the lead 3 cars in GTC, pretty much together, and James Webb will try and have a go at John Dillon here as well. The significant thing for John Dillon is the other 2 cars are invitational, so they're not taking championship points out of them, but they are there on track, and of course giving each other a good workout and a good race as well, which is great for the race fans that are here today, and indeed everybody watching our live stream. But it looks as if Jim Geddy, the former champion, is starting to move away. New fastest lap of the race has been set by Matt Manderson, a 1:30.018. So Richard Neary might well have a little bit of work to do overall in the GT3 class. The Lindsay Collins car still leading in GTA. GTB at the moment is led by Nick Barrow. He is in 8th position in the BMW, running well. And there is James Webb giving chase to John Dillon as they go through. There is the 26 Aston Martin of Matt Manderson, fastest man on track, and you can see he's closing in on the race leader. So Matt Manderson has settled into a little bit of race rhythm here, and as you go around the paddock, I've got to say, normally I get to talk to a lot of drivers doing sprint racing rather than GTs, and everybody will tell you that this type of racing is all about getting into a rhythm. It's not cut and thrust. That's exactly what Matt Manderson is doing now, closing down on Richard Neary. So Manderson, who I've had the pleasure of watching many times, I think, over the years in Sports 2000, the RSCC formula, and he is definitely starting to close in. They're developing a gap over the John Seal and later Marcus Clutton car, 55 to go in. Jenkins still busy trying to close up at the moment. James Guess immediately in front of him. So James in the 82 car running in GT8. So we've got in the mix here, we've got 2 GTA cars with a GTH Ginetta, the meat in the sandwich at the moment, and that is maybe just preventing Callum Jenkins from getting on and possibly challenging for the class lead. Ron Johnson's still there, and Ron in 16th place, 4th in GTH at the minute, and Matt Topham is 5th in class and still having a little bit of a struggle to try and get past. So James Guess putting pressure on at the moment. GTH car putting pressure on the GTA. James Guess raced in did a lot of karting. Actually managed Justin Bell, a great friend of Derek Bell and the Bell family, hence the close association with motor racing, and was second in the Radical SR1 Championship. We've got the Radical Challenge on for the SR3s this weekend here at Donington Park, and was Aston Martin Owners Club Intermark champion in 2015. So there is James racing well at the moment, and he's got some work on to catch John Whitehouse, who is the class leader in GTH at the moment, but probably not worried about that too much, but just enjoying a particularly good Ginetta battle at the moment. So a three-way scrap between these two cars, and 17, Patrick Collins started 3rd in class, did Patrick Collins. Hasn't had a bad race. As we look at Matt Topham going wide here, Ron Johnson in the Toyota, not really defending overly, but equally it doesn't look like Matt Topham has found the place to go through yet at the moment. I was talking to Matt's pro driver, Alex Toth-Jones, who was racing in the Porsche Cayman last weekend, and he's now focusing on this because I think he wants to partner up next year with Matt Topham, who runs wide there onto the grass, and he's trying to grab the inside line as they come into McLean's to make the position up. Still can't quite do it. Again, clean race, a thrilling race between these two. See what Matt Topham can do as they climb up into Coppice. He's taking a nice wide line there, grabs a little bit too much curb perhaps on the way into Coppice, wide on the way out, and might get a run along Starkey's straight. Let's see. The inside line is being defended, rightly so, by Ron Johnson. There's half a gap there, and of course now they go through Fogarty's, which is when they break off to the left to go onto the Donington loop, and it looks like Topham here has got the inside line to maybe make the position and move up another one, but he has come through 24th on the grid, so it's a very encouraging and positive opening lap from Matt Topham. As we look back to John Dillon still up ahead of James Webb. Dillon leading GTC, second position in GTC. And we'll be grabbing the championship points here because remember the class leader, Jim Geddy, and James Webb behind, not scoring championship points, but at the moment John Dillon's getting a challenge and a battle which is exactly what he wants in the race to enjoy his racing. So John Dillon under a fair amount of pressure at the moment, and it's a wide line as they go through the Melbourne hairpin. Now things look like it might have changed in Ginetta land here, with 4 cars all in the mix together, and still Matt Topham hasn't got past. I thought he'd got the job done when we looked at him around about half a lap back, but he really is having a good race with Ron Johnson as Patrick Collins continues to chase the 34 car, which has now got the class lead. So that's a change since we last saw it. So Callum Jenkins up into the class lead at the moment, chasing a 3rd win of the season. James Guess involved as well, so the 2 GTA cars, Ginettas, are clear. Problem for Seamus Jennings, very sadly, he's out of the race, out of 4th position in the race as well. Now these 2, as you can see, closing up on Chris Murphy. So good battle now, and Topham's got the inside line as they go through the hairpin, but that will convert to the outside at Goddard's. Is he going to be able to? No, he's not. And Ron Johnson on the inside run knows that he's got the advantage there as they come through Goddard's, rejoin the Wheatcroft straight, and watch for them to come through at the back of towards the back of shot. Still very much in the mix as well. Meanwhile, Richard Neary is starting to get into traffic. There is the race leader. The lead only 1.422 seconds at the moment over the white Aston Martin of Matt Manderson and Mike Brown. Mike will be taking over duties, of course, in the second driver race. And this is key. One of the things that John Seal spoke to me about, and I'll tell you what, going through there, finally Matt Topham gets through. Traffic opening up well for Richard Neary. Matt Manderson may be a little bit frustrated. The GTA car's doing nothing wrong per se. John Seal still up into 3rd place now, so John Seal on for an overall podium, and is the top registered championship driver in this one, so we'll be I think taking some good points here. John Seal showing Marcus Clutton, and makes a move on the inside line of Callum Jenkins. Jenkins, the GTA class, GTA group leader, and the ABBA Commercials car running well at the moment, but still Matt Manderson with the fastest lap. Sam Neary had new rubber put on for qualifying, and this car no stranger to success in GT Cup Championship, having taken 3 overall wins last year when we visited in September last year. It was the Glyn Geddy who took the win in the other race in class. Graham DeZille taking the overall win in race 3 and GTC honours last time out. Through goes John Seal. Seal in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3. John really such a lovely guy to chat to, thoroughly enjoying his racing, and on for the class win points here for sure. Gap now to 3.6 seconds, so the GTA cars that they happened across did have a little bit of an impact. Here's our first look at the Top Cats Racing Marcus Mantis, shared this weekend. Jensen Lund sharing both Marcus Mantis. I'm not sure what the plural of Mantis is. Mantis is probably, although there might be a different version of that. But the Top Cats Racing car running well. Our first look at that, and indeed our first look at Ben Claydon and Sam Randon. There is Ben Claydon, racing newcomer, about to be passed by the race leader. Ben Claydon running in the GT3997 in Class B, GTB. And he leads the championship at the moment. The defending champion there in car number 1, leading GTH at the moment, is John Whitehouse, having a good run. We've only got 6 minutes of this 25-minute race left. driving standards flag going out. Just having a quick look at the timing screen from race control to see if we could see whether that's a general warning or indeed whether it is for a specific driver. Number 1 car, GTH Group leader, reigning champion, John Whitehouse, doing a super job at the moment. He is running in 10th position and some way ahead of second in class. James Guest, the man we were talking about a little while before. Matt Manderson still chasing hard, still with the fastest lap in the white Aston, deals with the Marcus Mantis, goes through. The gap down slightly from the previous lap, 3.092 seconds, and has managed to clear the 38 car of Matt Topham. And Matt, now he's clear. You can see now he's got past Ron Johnson. He's opened up a little bit of a gap, and his next target is going to be Chris Murphy in the Whitebridge Motorsport Aston Martin Vantage, if he indeed close up. But he is getting closer there. You can see the gap between the two is coming down, so let's see whether he can get onto the podium. So this is potentially for a podium here for Matt Topham in GTH, having seen the reigning champion car which leads the class at the moment. I'll tell you what, it's not that far away as well from James Guest. So we're looking at the moment the 3rd and 4th place cars in GTH, and the 2nd position car in class is just ahead of this duo, just to give you perspective on what is happening. So we've got a Ginetta hitting a brace of Aston Martins. Topham again has a look on the outside line, but it's not going to work for him as they go first uphill, then very slightly down the grade and into Goddard's. Wide line again from Topham. He'll be hoping to try and get some momentum onto the main straight. The car ahead of them is Patrick Collins in 2nd position in GTA in the black Team Hard Ginetta. So James Guest, here we go, 2nd, 3rd, 4th in GTH. Ron Johnson running in GTH as well, running 5th in class. 6th in class at the moment is Dave Scaramanga. He's a little bit further back. Job to know where to look for a lot of this racing, because there's so many battles going on in class. Coming into the pit lane, I think possibly James Webb having a problem and dropping down the order. Looked like James, and that may be out of 7th position, 3rd position in GTC. There's still 4 minutes on the clock remaining. Matt Topham has done a really good job here. As I say, there was a technical infringement, I think maybe on power in the car. Saw him qualify on class pole, but even without that, this has been a great drive from Matt, learning his way in GT racing. NSL Consultancy, car running well. You can see goes down the inside line, makes up the position going into Fogarty's. So a super move and onto the podium from the back of the grid, the very back of the grid, remember, for the 38 car. So had to work his way past some GTB and GTA class cars as well. John Seal in 3rd place still, but the championship regular starting to work through the traffic as well. Now John's comment on this morning, talking about how do you work through the traffic, how do you get through, was very much, well, you just have to get into a little bit of a flow. He said inevitably for me, he said the cars that I lap tend to happen on corners rather than on straights. Well, it didn't happen there. So John having a little bit of the rub of the green for a change in dealing with some of the GTH and GTA cars he goes through, but on his way at the moment to a pretty good 3rd position for John Seal, and very capable pilot, and it's a driver pairing that many of the others in the championship have the utmost respect for. There is Jim Geddy leading GTC at the moment from John Dillon, and he is running well. That's the Richard Chamberlain car in pit lane. Richard, of course, a multi-winner here at Donington Park and indeed many other venues in GT Cup Championship over the years. Had a turbo problem. They've been away. The team have been away to Leeds to get a new turbo for the car, and that should be out in our 2nd race of the day, which is the 50-minute 2-driver, where applicable, race, and hopefully we'll see that car on track, but very much looking forward to it. And some work to do for Richard Chamberlain. It's going to be spectacular watching him work his way through the field, I'm sure. Very briefly though with Richard Neary. Here is the Saxon Motorsports BMW 150 GTR, which is the class leader in GTB, and doing a good job. Actually, a couple of places clear of Ben Claydon, the championship leader. But remember, the class leader here, or the group leader I should say, is not scoring championship points. You can see the marbles that have been put on the track as well. Marshall's going to have to do a fair bit of sweeping up to take those out. Back with the race leader, and now with the fastest lap of the race. So Richard Neary's found, with a minute to go, some real pace. Maybe had some clear track at this time as well. And he's got a 1:29.901. So has reasserted himself at the top of the timing screens. For a long time it was Matt Manderson with the fastest lap, but Richard Neary responding to Manderson's fastest lap, responding to his early challenge in this race with a minute to go, and has pulled the gap out now to 4.375 seconds. The ABBA commercials machine, ABBA, like many companies of course, having to deal as best they can with the situation in the country at the moment, but they've worked hard and it gives them the opportunity to come out and enjoy their motor racing. A little flash of the lights from Richard as he starts to approach a little bit more traffic down through Redgate and into Hollywood once again. The gap out to 5 seconds now after lap 16. It was a performance we were expecting. Matt Manderson quick early on in this one, through and past Jason Orange, it's his brother, isn't it, of course, the Simon Orange car, and Simon behaving well, actually fourth in class at the moment for Orange, so that won't put too much of a dent in the GTA Group Championship lead. There is David Franklin in behind in the 911 numbered car, the 997 GT3 Gen 1 Cup car, partnered by Will Tregurtha, the former star of Ginetta Junior Racing, a little bit later on. But the clock is down to 0, and it's the team that set pole position time in the qualifying session this morning, returning to the GT Cup Championship in the invitation section, if we could call it that, that has led from start to finish. It was a good start from Richard Neary. Great to see him and Sam, who's grown so much since I first met them as part of the Ginetta Scholarship several years ago. And through Goddard's, lights ablaze, and down to take the checkered flag and win the 9th race of the 2020 GT Cup Championship campaign. It's Richard Neary who's taken the win. Matt Manderson in second. John Seal will come through in third position in the Lamborghini Huracan. So it's Mercedes, Aston Martin, and then a brace of Lamborghini Huracans in third and fourth. The fourth place car, our GTC winner, is Jim Geddy. They're followed by John Dillon in the Ferrari. So again, multi-mark racing and so many different cars taking the wins. We're looking at the number one car, the reigning champion, coming through as well to win his class. This is John Whitehouse, who will take the win in GT8, 9th position overall. The McLaren wins class, and that's going to be good for them. They'll pick up another 15 championship points there for John Dillon, and that will put him on to, let me see, 147, 150, 160 odd points. So he won't actually catch up with Ben Claydon, Sam Rand and Josh Jackson and Simon Orange, but it will keep him in the mix. And he's been hit a little bit by the fact that there have been more drivers in GTB and GTA. But there is Richard Neary, our race winner. He will be again starting the car in our two-driver race, which we'll be able to catch a little bit later on with us on our coverage. Super performance by the Tom Barrow car here, the Saxon Motorsport BMW, is going to win GTB. So again, returning to the championship, albeit as an invitation entry this weekend. Let's have a look at the results for you, though. It was a win for Richard Neary in the Mercedes-AMG GT3, and second position again in GT3, Matt Manderson. Third place in completing our overall podium for the races, John Seal in the Lamborghini Huracan. First position in GTC, fourth on the road, goes to Jim Geddy, I nearly said Glyn Geddy again then, but Jim Geddy taking the honours there in GTC in 4th position overall. And he was very closely followed by John Dillon, our first championship regular in GTC, 2nd position in class, 5th overall. And then 4th in GT3 was the Seamus Jennings Porsche 911. We saw that slowing up at one point, but recovered to take 6th position, 4th place in class. 7th position was the BMW, and that was the number 20 car of Tom Barrow's Saxon Motorsport entrance. And then the Marcus Mantis 2nd position in GTB, that being the number 3 car, Jensen Lunn. We'll see that car, Jensen in both cars, of course, over the course of the weekend, but that one being shared by Warren Gilbert a little bit later on in the afternoon. It was John Whitehouse who was 9th and took the honours in GTH. Congratulations to John. 10th position, 3rd in GTB, goes to Ben Claydon, who we saw towards the end of the race there in the Porsche 997, prepared by Team Hard. Then it was Callum Jenkins. Congratulations to him on winning the GTA category in his Ginetta G55. Great drive from the back into 13th place, Matt Topham in the Aston Martin GT4, 2nd position in GTH, and he relieved, of course, James Guess of that position late on in the race. James taking 3rd position in GTH and 14th overall. Next up was the 72 cars, Chris Murphy in the Whitebridge Motorsport Aston Martin GT4. Ron Johnson in the Toyota, Speedworks Toyota GT4, finishes 5th in class, 16th in the GTH, 5th in the GT8 class, 16th overall. And then it was the 2nd of the Marcus Mantis, Charlotte Gilbert, starting that one GTB, and Charlotte taking 4th position in class, 17th overall. Dave Scaramanga was next in his Ginetta. Then the 911 car of David Frankland, followed by Alex Stevenson in 20th place. So that wraps up our top 20. Please make sure that you join us. We'll be back around about 4:30 today for the lead into the 2-driver race in the GT Cup Championship here at Donington Park. So in the meantime, many thanks for your company, and we look forward to catching up with you a little bit later on this afternoon.